Hey guys, this is Jeremy from 70 Productions. I want to talk to you guys about being the church tech experts that you are in your field. So if you're serving on with a church, you probably have been asked to take over the projector, the social media, maybe get some blog posts up, you're running the soundboard, maybe you're just running the presentation and you just click next, and you design it before and afterwards. You work with the worship team, the pastor, to make sure everything's copacetic. I love the idea of having team members to come on board, to be experts in their field, to be able to really own what's going on and to be able to have the ability to speak into the actual process and to know what they're doing. And for me, one of the big things that I put into this, especially as a team leader, as a volunteer, trying to make sure the church tech is the best as it could be, and especially for my job here at Youth for Christ as the social media and blogging person, I expect the people that fill their position to be experts. And so it's an interesting task to ask volunteers to come on board, to be team leader of these people and not to be experts in the field that you're actually serving in. So a pastor comes along and asks you to put up a PowerPoint, great, that's easy, you can do that. You do the pre-test before worship where you're getting the audio adjustments and you're trying to get everything set so that it sounds good whenever you're running the worship service during. But what happens when something breaks down? What happens whenever something goes awry and you're not quite sure what to do? If you're not an expert in what you're trying to do, then it's not going to work. You're going to come across as sloppy. The fact that you need to be able to step it up in what you're doing. Now this has deep implications in everything that we do. I think that first of all, you need to know what it is that you're handling. If you are running a T3i camera as far as being able to record videos before a worship service and do the video editing on Premiere for Adobe, or maybe you're using Final Cut Pro 10, you need to know those as best as you can. You need to be able to learn about new developments, maybe understand what other professionals are doing in your industry so that you can take that next step and to have high quality content be coming out. And so for you guys that are doing your jobs, if you're a volunteer, if you're a paid staff person, I would highly recommend that you take the stance that you are going to be the expert in your field on that. If someone has a question about how to run a projector and you're in charge of the tech stuff, you should know everything about that projector. Why is it that you need to leave it off and you shouldn't run it? What is it that you can tell volunteers whenever they borrow the equipment, the top 3 things that they need to know? And so you'll have all those in your back pocket. You will be the expert and they will know who to come to whenever there's problems, but at the same time they can trust in the fact that you know how to do your job. The other part of this is the fact that you are also not the person that's in charge of everything else that goes along with it. And so as far as if you are running the worship slides for Sunday sermons, you are not the person that should be in charge of creating the content that goes up on there. One of the biggest pet peeves I ever have is working with worship pastors that expect you to write out the lyrics for the slides. I encourage you guys to do not take up those roles. They are the worship pastor, they should be the expert in their field with that. And so whenever you see mistakes up on the board, whose fault is it at the point? The person that's the expert that should have handled it? Or is it your fault because you're taking on a role that you were not designed nor should be expected to take on? Social media people, your job is not to create the content. Your job is to be able to facilitate the online discussion, to create posts that go out at the correct time, to know who your audience is, and to craft great art, to craft great posts so that people engage well and hear more about your ministry. And so you ask the pastor to create the tweets, you ask the pastor to create the Facebook posts, and you go from there. You actually just take their content and you are the one that's in charge of the actual posting of that content and engaging afterwards. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say as far as being experts in your field, but not necessarily taking the role on of other people. It's really difficult. I think that this discussion on where we go as far as what should we take upon ourselves in the process is very difficult, but we need to recognize that we are experts in this one field that we've been given, and if we jump into other territories, then maybe we need to completely take on new roles as far as that goes. So if we're going to be doing the worship pastor's job, maybe we should take on a role as an associate worship leader. Maybe that's our new role as far as church goes. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about trying to have boundaries in ministry to have more productivity, What are some of the benefits of this? What are some of the consequences of this as far as what you've experienced? What are some of the headaches and the heartaches as far as going through this process? Leave your guys' comments down below, and we'll talk to you guys next week.